Thank you. My name is Lydia Mpisi, and I'm here on behalf of Team KYCE, which, as she said, it's a group of 5 Kenyan girls concerned with sustainable livability conditions in urban slums. We are interested in urban slums because most of us were born and raised in Kibera, which is one of the largest slums in Africa. So this is the outline of my presentation today. I'm going to outline the wicked problem in urban slums, and particularly Kibera, because we're going to start with Kibera as our prototype. I'll also outline our vision and mission for our group, and I'll go into details to explain the proposed solutions of our group. So Kibera, like I said, is one of the urban slums in Kenya, and it's found in Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya. So it was formed due to increased rural-urban migration of people hoping to move into the capital city to secure employment. As a result, it led to overcongestion and overcrowding in the urban areas because there was not adequate planning to accommodate the large populations that are migrating from rural areas into the urban areas. So as a result, we have a lack of space in the urban slums, and there's inadequate sources of income. There's also improper management of waste, and as a result, we have public unrest because people are suffering from diseases that could otherwise be prevented if they had livable or sustainable environmental conditions. And the problem is because of the linear economic system that exists in urban slums. As you can see on the slide, we are currently focused on production, consumption, and disposal of goods. As you can see in the pyramid that shows the hierarchy of waste management, at the bottom of the pyramid is where we focus our waste management. Currently, like I said, we are moving from production to disposal of waste, and this is creating a problem. As you can see on the picture on the right, that is the current existing conditions in most urban slums, which you're using Kibera as an example. So the vision of Team KYCE is to create sustainable living conditions in urban slums by helping to improve the sanitation and hygiene conditions, creating sources of income, and educating the community so that we can work together to achieve sustainable living conditions. And our mission, we seek to do this by by facilitating a collaboration between our group, the local government, the existing community-based organizations, and the local communities to work together to come up with innovative solutions that can disrupt the wicked problems that are currently existing in urban slums. So this is our proposed solution. Team KYCE learned of the Community Cooker Foundation, which is an organization that designed Community Cooker, a public cooking facility that uses waste to produce heat energy that can be used for cooking, for baking, for boiling water, and for other uses that depend on heat energy. So we also learned of People, which is a company that uses it's a company that designed biodegradable portable toilets that can be used for humidification, and it converts human waste into fertilizer. So when we learned about these 2 projects, we were wondered how. It will be very nice to take out trash out of public land and replace those public open spaces with urban gardens, which will not only provide food, create employment, and improve the overall health of the slum dwellers, but it will also increase the aesthetic value of the slums and also combat climate change and provide fresh air to the members of the community. So, and as we dwelt deep into our project and researching, we also learned about different companies like the HP, which is an information technology company that produces electronics like computers, and it sells to people, and it has established recycling facilities in Nairobi. So we thought the best way to go about creating a circular economy and combating the problem of waste management in urban slums is to work with the locals to sort out the waste into different categories, into combustible waste that we can give to the community cooker, into biodegradable waste, which we plan to establish biodigesters that can produce methane, which we hope to produce electricity from that. We can also categorize it into electronic waste, which can be recycled to acquire precious metals and also to reproduce other electronic equipment, and to recyclable waste like glass and plastics that existing recycling companies are working on in Kenya to produce other valuable goods. So these are some of the companies that we are going to partner with. We are actually not creating anything new. We are just existing to integrate the activities of the local government and this company to achieve the optimal results of each individual company working together. So far, we haven't formalized it into paper, but we've held meetings with people, and they're very interested in our project. Like I said, People is a company that came up with a portable biodegradable toilet that can be used by the slum dwellers, and it's currently seeking land to establish demonstration gardens that it can show the locals how the fertilizer made from human waste works. So because Team KYCE is interested in establishing urban gardens, that is where our interests merge, and People is looking forward to work with us after this presentation. We will embark with our discussions on how to formalize our partnerships. We've also been in contact with the Community Cooker Foundation, and like I said, it's the foundation that designed the community cooker that uses trash to produce heat energy. And the community cooker is also very excited about our project because currently they usually encourage individuals in the slums to take household waste to the community cooker, where waste is sorted into different categories, and the combustible waste is used for the community cooker. However, they currently do not have a way of handling the other types of waste. And because we found out a way of using the waste as our resources by selling it to the different companies like the HP for the electronic waste and the recyclable waste, that is where we are going to partner with the community cooker. We talked to the architect and the engineer of the community cooker, and he's very excited. He's going to work with us. We've also been in communication with HP. Like we said, the circular economy, because HP produces these electronic goods, it's also providing a way of taking back the used and the destroyed electronic equipment so that it can use the resources to reproduce other goods. We are also going to partner with Smart City Power, which is a company in the Netherlands that we found out it's looking for local partners whom they can work together to use methane to produce electricity. And this is very vital because currently in Kibera, and I believe in other slums as well, there's problems with insecurity, and even children are not very comfortable studying late in the night at school because of lack of electricity to move around. So this is a very nice way of using waste to produce a much needed service in the slums. So the first step of the second phase of our implementation stage, the first was secure partnerships, which we've already done, and we've even been in communication with the wife of the governor of Nairobi, and she has promised to help us secure funds and partnerships and to be in communication with the government. So our second phase is going to start with community education. So we believe in the concept of help me, help you. Although most of us were born and raised in Kibera slums, we still believe that we need to work with the locals. We need to work together to come up with the solutions together. So we are going to start with community education to tell them of our proposed solution, to educate them about how the community cooker functions and how the people functions and how that is going to benefit them, and also how they can work with us to be resilient, to be independent, and not to rely on external sources to improve their living standards. So our focus is going to be on the youth and the women in Kibera. And so the next phase is going to, so once we work with the government and we agree on the public dumping sites that we are going to start working with, so as I said, we are going to work with the local youths and women to sort out waste. As you can see on the slides on the right, that is the existing conditions, like I mentioned. So we are going to have the human and the youth sort out the waste into different categories that I mentioned. And then we are going to transform that land into urban garden and replace it with food crops that we will also work together with the locals to produce and to sell within and also outside the slums. And that is going to produce income and other benefits that I mentioned before. So the other aspect of our project, like I mentioned, is the establishment of a biodigester, and we are going to make use of the biodegradable waste to digest the waste and produce methane that we can use to produce electricity. So this is the financial feasibility of our project. We actually are not going to incur a lot of cost because we are going to partner with the existing projects. The one that we anticipate is the money to set up the biodigester, and Smart City Company is going to work with us to establish this, and we're also going to secure funds from the Kazi kwa Vijana funds provided by the Kenyan government, and we approximate to use about $2,000. So in summary, we are very excited for this project because we are going to overturn the hierarchy of waste management from what it currently exists, where we have waste disposal, and we're going to maximize minimization and prevention of waste production. And we are going to convert urban slums from the existing conditions to green urban slums. Thank you.
Lydia, another tremendous presentation. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And the super project that you've got in mind for Kibera.
Yes.
Yeah. The big question that I had really was who pays for all of this? Because you're talking about an education program. You're talking about waste collection and sorting. You're talking about clearing some land and creating an urban garden. So there's a lot of manpower going into all of these operations. Who's backing it all?
Sorry?
Who's paying for it all?
Okay, so that's a good question too. So like I said, with the initial income, we're going to request funds from the government because they have this program called KYCE Vijana, and it encourages youths to come up with solutions to wicked problems, and it's going to give us funding for that. And we've also been in contact with Dr. Susan Boyer, who is the wife to the governor of Nairobi, and she also works for Coca-Cola, and she's in charge of women empowerment. And Coca-Cola is also seeking for youths who are working to empower, for groups that are working to empower youths and women, and we hope to get funds from that. So we still do not have funds yet, but we know we will get funds to do the initial funding of the project. And also we hope to get lots of revenue from selling our recyclable waste. We were reading testimonials from people who work independently to pick out waste from the dump site and sell them to the recycling companies. There's a lady who said she earns 5,000 Kenyan shillings per month just from doing it individually. And we thought that will be very nice. So if you're going to get a big group of people, and we're thinking of so we will facilitate their payments with the companies that you're partnering with, and also for the administrative costs, we are thinking of getting just 10% from their income to help run everything, to do the administrative cost and all that stuff. But we are backing on the funds from the government and also the revenue from selling recyclables, sorry.
Are there any incentives for, say, Hewlett-Packard and some of these other companies? Are there incentives for them to help and to help provide you with services and to help some leadership in what you're going to do with these materials?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, for instance, the People, it's currently seeking for demonstration gardens in Kibera. So currently, what they've been doing, they're using farmers in places outside Kibera. So it's they're taking the fertilizers from Kibera and using it in other places. And the farmers have confirmed how good the fertilizers are working. So people was thinking, because we are getting the resources from Kibera, and even for Team KYCE, we need Kiberans to benefit from that. And Kiberans, I'm just using them as an example of slum dwellers also in other urban slums in developing countries. So people is willing to work with us there, and it will help us with the community education on how to use people, and also basic sanitation and hygiene hygiene practices that you can educate the members. And also the Community Cooker Foundation. So like I said, currently it's using combustible waste, but it doesn't know how to handle the other types of waste. And because we've proposed a way of handling that waste, so they're also going to work with us to achieve that. And HP is currently educating people on how they can collect the electronic waste and how they can sort them. They have different collection sites set up in different places in Nairobi. So they're seeking people who can encourage that practice of recycling. So there are lots of incentives to work with them, and they're all very excited with our idea. Yeah.
Lydia, did you grow up in Kibera?
Yes. That's where I even live. When I say I'm going home to Kenya, I go to Kibera. That's where my home is.
It's incredibly admirable that you are choosing to use your training and your education to go help your community.
Thank you.
Yeah. My hat's off to you. What are the elements of your system that you absolutely depend on financially? And I guess I'm thinking, for example, there's a lot of attention around e-waste. And so if HP decides that they are no longer going to be recycling in Kenya, there seems to be a gap there, because I think
Right.
a large portion of the income is generated around the recycling aspects of those. So what are your thoughts on what are the key things to make the system survive, and what would you do in a contingency if HP pulls out?
That's a good question that we didn't give much thought, but I read from the HP company, so they're even working with the local government to set up a law that requires all information technology companies that are selling electronic equipment to Kenya, they have to provide a way of dealing with the waste after it has been used. So there's little chances that HP is going to back out of that, because the law in Kenya is going to require any company to provide a way. Yeah, so I think we are secure on that. But that's a good question, which you should give thought on that.
Do you have, so part of the community is gardening. Do those vegetables get sold off to other markets, or is it shared amongst the community?
Okay.
What's the model around that?
So the model, we were thinking of a social enterprise, so working with the locals. So we plan on employing them to work at the garden, and so we will pay them. And we also plan to sell the produce from the garden, which will generate income. And we also want to encourage the spirit of volunteering in Kenya, because it's at the minimal, like Kenyans believe in give and take. So we also want to encourage the spirit of volunteering. And we also plan to work with like women who have businesses on the roadside. So we will like encourage them to donate water that we can use for the garden. So we want to encourage the spirit of collaboration and volunteering. And also recycling, because we are going to encourage them to sort out their waste into different categories. And for instance, with people, for when you use the people and you give it back to people, they give you like 1 shilling for every people you give to them. Yeah, so there are lots of incentives to use those products.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the fact that your project is a systems design that's taking several things that already exist and finding ways to bring them together to make the whole more efficient and integrated and achieve your goals.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that about it, and the vision that you've shared is lovely, and I can see how important it is to you. It's wonderful. My question is sort of a logistics one around the human waste portion of this, and
Right.
try to ask this delicately, I guess. It seems there's going to be a need for a way to collect the used bags, and I'm wondering how that is currently done. If there are collection methods that the People company already uses, or if that's something that you'll need to develop and create in order to have that as a source for the creation of fertilizer.
Okay, so People already has collection sites.
Okay.
So what they do, they distribute out the People, which is the biodegradable toilet, and they educate people, they show them how to use them, and they give them bags where they can use to collect. Like for each household, they have a bag where they can put all the used People, and it can only be used once, just for sanitation purposes. And after that, they have some people who go to the households and collect the waste and take it to the collection sites of People. So People, the company, is the one that is in charge of, handling all the large amount of human waste and converting it into
Okay.
fertilizer.
So they are doing the composting of those bags and the human waste inside it into a finished fertilizer, and then your project will be the recipient of that fertilizer for the creation of the gardens?
Yes,
Is that
so
it?
that's
Okay.
where our partnership comes
Okay.
in, because they need a demonstration garden to show
Yeah.
how the fertilizer work. And the People have like urea inside, so after defecation, immediately the sanitization process begins. So it's taking pathogens out of the environment, because currently what's happening in the urban slums, like people are using something called flying toilets,
Yeah.
which they use plastic bags to defecate, and they throw them in public open spaces, which is a health hazard.
Right.
So when we learned about People, we were very excited. We were like, this is very good. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
One quick question. How confident are you that the land that you clear, which was currently housing rubbish, is ready to grow crops?
That's a good question too, that we discussed with people during one of our meetings, and we're going to discuss on how we can go about that. But there's this local group called Kibera Youths that already did a sample of that. So they cleared some parts of land and they established like an urban garden. And within 3 months, that's the picture I actually showed there. They had the crops grow.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you,
we're
Lydia.
confident that it's going to work. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Thank you.